So, for whoever's watching, I'm here with Elizabeth Martin, nurse here at Loma de Luz Hospital in Honduras. So, Elizabeth, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it. But we wanted to know a little bit about your work here and what you do. So maybe you can share what your role is here at the hospital, and then we'll go from there.
I'm a registered nurse from the States, and I have been working here at the hospital for 2 years now.
Okay.
Mostly my role is labor and delivery in the emergency room during clinic hours from like Monday to Friday from about 8 to 4.
Okay.
And so my responsibility basically entails taking care of emergency room patients or labor and delivery, depending on what we have going on.
Okay. So, what's different about working here versus in the States as a nurse?
I don't know where to start with that one. So I have a lot more responsibility of taking care of a much broader patient population than I do in the States. Where in the States I took care of mostly adults. Here I take care of from premature babies to all the way up through adult in a wide variety of illnesses.
So what's been your biggest challenges making the transition from working as a nurse in the States to now working as a missionary nurse in Central America?
Well, probably the first thing that was the language barrier. Yeah. Going from being able to do a job really well in the States and then coming here, and it's the same sort of job but in a completely different language than what I was used to. So that was a big challenge at first, even though like I went to 3 months of language school in Guatemala, but even after that
still a little tricky, huh?
Yeah.
So how are you doing now with language? You think you're finally getting there? Or,
yeah, most of the time like I think, oh, I'm doing pretty good, and then I make a really big blunder.
Well, that's good you can laugh at them, because I think that's kind of important. Tell me, what have you found to be your biggest blessings here in working in this environment?
Probably the biggest blessing is being able to work with people of a completely different culture and being able to see how in Christ there are no boundaries between us, cultural, language, things like that, that we, even though if I can't communicate with them very well, like we still have that, if they're a believer, we still have that bond.
Oh, that's cool. So, what do you think? What advice would you give a new missionary new missionary nurse, single nurse, heading out to the mission field? What insights could you give her looking back on, or him, on your experience here?
Probably to learn the language as much as you possibly can before coming down. My situation was a little bit different, where I was called before I learned the language. But like if you're in the mission mindset, just to be really working towards to having relationships with people of that culture, even in the States, before you come down, and really learning their language and like cultural differences and things like that.
What do you think's been your biggest learning curve other than language here?
Probably trying to live and work with a bunch of missionaries that we all live together, breathe together, work together.
Yeah, that can be a blessing and some challenge at the same time.
It can be very challenging. It's fun and very challenging.
So this is, I think when I look out here, I say the Lord has blessed the poor with some of the most beautiful places on earth, and this is one good blessing about this place, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is that Honduras is incredibly beautiful.
Absolutely.
From the howler monkeys in the trees to the ocean in the distance,
Absolutely.
it's pretty impressive. So I'm jealous. I want to live here instead of where we live in Texas, but that's okay. Any other thoughts on your experience here? Any good patient stories you might want to share, or some good, what really stands out to you about your time here?
So over the past year or so, we've been taking care of this little boy. He just turned 12 as of a couple of weeks ago. His name is Jamal, and
Yeah.
he had a really tragic story of being hit by. He was riding his bike and got hit by a car on the road, and had a very common, just closed fracture, tib fracture, and then went to the public hospital where he was just treated really, really poorly. And months later, he came to our hospital, and we ended up having to amputate his leg because it was beyond what we could even deal with. And getting to be there in the emergency room, comforting him through that, and being told that we were going to have to take his leg, and then being able to watch him as he's progressed from being this really scared little boy to over the past few months he's grown probably a foot. He's huge. And he just got his first ever prosthetic just 2 days ago, and seeing his face light up that he had hope of playing soccer again. And being a normal little teenager. And
Awesome.
so that was really a blessing to watch, and like being able to minister to him into the emergency room at his probably the most scariest time of his life, as just an 11-year-old boy, and being able to pray with him and to be there with him through that.
That's awesome.
And then to see the outcome of him, what happened with him afterwards, and that joy and hope that he has.
That's cool. Yeah, I know that there's been some, there were some pictures of when he got his prosthetic the other day. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
And, sounds like a really cool story.